Hey my darlings, I have a ramble. I have a little ramble for you today. Welcome to my cabin in the hills, the mountains, in the Jamison Valley in central Victoria. I'm here for the winter and it's been gorgeous. I don't know where I'm going after this, but I'm here for another 4 weeks, so come and share this space with me. What came up for me today? I wanted to share something. I've often put it in so many different ways, but I liked the way this came through the other day. And that is the influence we've got from hundreds of years of example of spirituality and how it actually doesn't work in our favor. And I'm talking about the model of renunciation. So we have been influenced so strongly via religion that we've kind of forgotten what spirituality really is. And so many people will give you their definition. I'm just going to tell you something today that it is not necessarily 100% only. And that is a renunciant path. So monkhood, priesthood, having to walk off into the mountains somewhere, into a cave, even though that's exactly what I'm doing now, but I'm not doing it for that purpose. Of course, if that flows through you, absolutely fantastic. That's for you. But it's what we model spirituality off. And the other thing is our knowledge of the great beings and saints. And we don't look at all of them, we just look at some of them. And we've made up a hell of a lot of stories to go with our model of renunciation, and I'm going to say here, tricks, miracles. So when they become an unconscious influence and expectation, then that we don't realize is what we are using as a judgment for spirituality. And I hear it all the time. I even heard someone say, oh, my son, he's a good spiritual boy, he doesn't swear. The kid's 40. And I was like, what's that got to do with being spiritual? That's a religious condition from some faith, from their heritage, from their DNA that they've bought into in this lifetime. Taking on this body takes on a DNA and all the stories that come with it. And in my previous video, I talked about briefly how the stories and the identity are also not us. And it's really important to let them go, to see them for what they are and not to be stuck with them. But this makes us also stuck. And the thing is, it doesn't necessarily work. In fact, I see a lot of the time it's an epic fail, which is why there's so much dodginess in religious circles and some cultish spiritual circles. By the way, I have actually nothing against cults. It's just bad cults. Family is a cult. Society is a cult. Government is a cult. In fact, family is probably the most influential and strongest, most binding cult that we belong to. So when we look at the renunciant path, then we kind of don't realize that we think we're wrong. We think other people are wrong when they do certain things, like when they stuff up or when they look a certain way, if they're overweight, underweight, they have abundance, if they live in poverty. You can hear how these things get stuck in us and we project that onto ourselves and onto other people. And I mean, the reality is, whether you're rich, poor, fat, skinny, successful, unsuccessful, in a relationship, single, have a home, don't have a home, job, no job, that's got nothing to do with spirituality. Whether you swear or don't swear, whether you're sick or healthy, nothing to do with spirituality. And whilst on your spiritual journey, you might go through changes and fluctuations in those areas, simply due to karmas, due to energy, And they are areas that are highlighted for you to transcend and transform, which I'll do a video on about transcendence and transformation, because it's a really cool one. But the playing out of it absolutely does not matter. And we get hooked up on that. And so too does having great spiritual powers. So we trip on the power, we trip on the miracles, and you don't actually have to have them. You probably don't realize what you already have got. You already have got, if you're doing the work, or you just might be naturally, mystically endowed. But when you do the work, you get mystical powers. I'll do a video about that at some other stage as well. But they don't have to be there for you to be self-realized. They don't have to be there. So with the tantric path, or the path, I would say, that is life-affirming, or it's also really a householder path, meaning you just embrace life. So we hear all the time, some faiths and religions say desire is the root of all suffering, and it's true. And then you've got New Age teachings saying desire is the pathway to everything. So people get very confused, and they just think either I have to push everything away and live this austere life, or I go for gold and I have everything I want. And they're two extremes, and neither of them, you don't have to go too far either way. You can't help but have desire. I mean, in the yoga tradition, they talk about attachment and aversion, which is the sides of desire that cause suffering. And that's so true. We get attached, or we're either craving something or pushing something away. And that's the problem with attachment. So when something has got you gripped, when you're obsessed by something, when you're craving something, or when you're rejecting something, or when you're under the control of something, like money, relationship, sex, alcohol, whatever it is, that's what you need to renounce. That's then got you, and that's suffering, and that keeps you bound. Transcend and transform that. Do the work. Face that. Embrace that. Free yourself from that. And then why can't you have that in your life? Or work on and discover the relationship with that works for you, and stick to that. So it is true, desire is the root of all suffering. Desire in the form of wanting something or rejecting something vehemently. And we need to work on that, and we need to see that in the clear light of day. Or we'd say you need to bring your spiritual awareness to it. You need to bring awareness to it and not be trapped and caught by it. So you don't need to renounce the world. I would say, experience the world in all of its glory. And this is the dualistic universe that we are in. This experience of being a human being is dual. So no matter who we are, no matter if we're a bodhisattva or someone who's completely unawakened, there's always going to be rough seas and calm seas. But what it does to you, and the meaning you make of it, and how you allow yourself to find that center within, regardless of what is going on the outside. And on the outside, you could be really swept away by the choppiness and the massive waves of the roaring, unpredictable ocean. But there is still an inside part of you that's calm, that is not messed up in that. Go there. Go there. Big heart, big mind, big being. That's where it's all at. Go to being. Go to keeping your heart open. Go to universal perspective of what's going on and the truth of the matter. And then transcend and transform. You don't need to renounce. Embrace the world, sweetheart. And just watch what you're attached to, and what you're averse to, what you're chasing, or what you're running away from. And realize that it's actually a quality of the self playing out. This has been my big spund and my big realization. And that you must be your word. Find and discover what your word is and stick to it.